Hi guys, good evening and welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I will be discussing what I thought of the latest and very good episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which dropped this most recent episode this past Thursday. I finally had a chance to watch it after a very busy full weekend. I really liked it a lot. I hope you guys did too. Now, before I get into all of that, please be warned, this is a spoiler-filled review. So if you're not caught up on Strange New Worlds by the latest, most recent episode, you do not want to keep watching or listening, as I will be going into spoilers, plot details, character stuff, all that jazz. That being said, you have been warned. Let's dive right back into it. First and foremost, it's so nice to see a Klingon again after all this time. I know there was some controversy and frankly some confusion about their overall look and design, especially from seasons 1 and 2 of Discovery. And why they suddenly changed to looking like their old classic selves again, I don't know. But I'm glad that this guy, as short-lived as his role was in this episode, looked like a good old-fashioned Klingon. You know, they always look the best from the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine era. So I'm glad they kept that look. It was an interesting episode. We got some reveals, even though it had been hinted at before in other episodes, that both Dr. Mbenga and Nurse Chapel had served during the Klingon War, which happened throughout most of, if not all of Season 1 of Discovery and trickled over into parts of Season 2, possibly, I think, maybe? Yeah, it's hard to remember. But it was definitely throughout Season 1 of Star Trek Discovery. Apparently they were on the front lines as medics, as combat medics, and saw and went through a lot of shit, and that kind of thing stays with you. So I think one of the many themes of this episode was about PTSD and the cost it has on people, and what the, just the overall toll it has on people who continue to live with that every single day, no matter how well or how happy they seem to be doing, whether they're with a partner like, Chapel is with Spock, sort of, and Spock being unable to help her or calm her down, although he was able to change the topics in conversation with the Klingon ambassador, which helped Chapel quite a bit. But then, we had like Ortegas, who outright confronted the ambassador, for tensions boiling over. It felt like a pretty calm confrontation, in my opinion. I thought, oh, is that the worst it's going to get? Is that it? Was that our big, culmination of tension reaching a boiling point in this episode? Was that it? No, it was far from it. Turns out there was one more resentful encounter left to go, which was a final face-off between the Klingon ambassador and Dr. Mbenga. Turns out the Klingon had a reputation for butchering his own men, killing his own men after becoming horrified at the atrocities they committed during the Klingon War. But it turns out that the real butcher of his men was Mbenga and not the Klingon ambassador, because Mbenga reveals to the audience as well to the Klingon ambassador, it's like, hey, I know you're lying, you're full of shit, you didn't kill your own men, I did. And flashbacks confirmed it as such. And apparently he had the knife that still had some of the Klingon blood and DNA on it. And I guess in a scuffle, that's what he used to kill the Klingon ambassador. Our view is obscured from behind some cloudy glass, so it's unclear if the doctor did indeed stab the Klingon ambassador, or if for some reason he stabbed himself because he couldn't stand his secret being exposed and all his work being undone as a newfound pacifist and born-again Klingon defector, because he was a Federation ambassador who had defected from the Klingons because he was supposedly disgusted by his own people's actions during the war. But that obviously wasn't entirely the case. I'm sure he probably was disgusted by his people's actions, but a lot of it was probably out of just self-preservation as well. It was pretty cowardly for him to take off and leave his lieutenants to fight off the doctor while the doctor was slaughtering all his men and whatnot. So this was an interesting episode. It took a twist or a turn I didn't think it would, and I thought this episode would be all about facing and confronting your past, dealing with feelings of trauma and PTSD, which it did touch on. But it was also about leading up to this big twist. It's like, oh, you're not the monster, I am. One of those kind of twists, which I thought was pretty cool, actually. feel bad for the Doctor and for Nurse Chapel. Clearly, they have both been through some horrific shit that they bonded over, but they still both very, very much carry it with them to this day. And I wonder if they'll have further episodes or future installments of this show where they'll encounter more Klingons and it'll trigger and bring back more memories of PTSD. Who knows? But this was a good episode, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was definitely a huge tonal change up to the previous episode that I just covered and watched, which was the big crossover event with Lower Decks, which was a complete opposite. It was fun, lighthearted, exciting. This episode had some exciting but very dark moments too. And that's okay. Not every episode needs to be the same. What did you guys think of this episode? I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings on it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your night and weekend. Strange New Worlds, I think, only has 2 episodes left this season, both dropping on Thursdays on Paramount Plus. Don't miss them. It's a fun show. Have a great rest of your night, everyone. Thanks for watching and bearing with me in my delayed reaction of getting this video uploaded. And of course, until next time, live long and prosper.